Here's another one. Do any of you carry burdens from childhood? I'm clean. I grew up in a kind of ministry superstar family. My great-grandfather was one of the first radio preachers. He went on the air in 1923, preached every Sunday morning on the air until his death in 1964, at which point it was the oldest, longest-running radio show in America. My mother was playing the piano live on the radio when she was 5, accompanying her little brother who was singing his first solo at the age of 3. I grew up in Bible conferences and Bible camps and big churches that were founded by relatives, and the message I got growing up was, your value is how many lives you impact for the kingdom. And that burden I wore around my neck for most of my life. But there's another one. I absolutely love my dad. Extraordinarily creative. He was an advertising executive when I was a kid in Muscatine, Iowa. He had worked for a tire company. And so I created, around 8 or 9, I looked up to him so much that I created my own fictitious tire company, and I would cut up his ads that he was laying out, and then lay out my own ads for my fictitious tire company. And he told stories off the top of his head. I mean, that's way better than I can. But then one day when I was 9, he came down the stairs with a suitcase, and he kissed me on the forehead, and then he walked out the door. And immediately, my life split into 2 halves. The half before my dad left, and the half after he left. And nothing was the same again. And as painful as that experience was, what was more damaging was the message I took from it. It was obvious to me that this marriage thing must be hard, because my parents were not smiling at each other very much anymore. But I saw my dad look at that hard work, and then I saw him look at me, and I saw him decide that it wasn't worth it. And somewhere inside I took the message that I'm not worth it. That I'm not worth the hard work. That I'm not worth hanging around for. And almost 25 years later, VeggieTales is exploding. I'm being interviewed by the Wall Street Journal and Time Magazine. There was still a little voice in my head saying, now am I worth it? Now am I worth hanging around for? And God had to go to work on that. And get me to a point where I could say, I've been carrying that around too long. What my dad did, I've been carrying it around too long. It was time to take it and nail it to the cross and let it go. One more thing. And it may sound trivial, but I don't think it is, especially in what we do in our form of ministry. Do you feel the burden to entertain? And I know how the logic goes. In today's culture, entertainment is our common language. Churches have to stay relevant. So we have to be as entertaining as the Nickelodeons and the Disneys. Guess what? You can't compete with Nickelodeon and Disney. And you know what? You don't have to. Because you can do something that Nickelodeon and Disney can't do. You can love a child. If I gave my kids the choice, I don't think they would go to my church. In fact, I don't think they would go to church at all, or school, or the dentist, or the doctor. If I gave my kids the choice, I think on Sunday morning they'd go to the supermarket, they'd buy a really big bag of candy, and they'd sit in the parking lot and eat it until they vomited. That's why I don't give my kids the choice. But every time we go back to their grade school, all 3 kids had the same 4th grade teacher. They always want to go visit that 4th grade teacher. It's not because she had an Xbox in the room. It's not because she had an animatronic dinosaur. It's because she loved them. And they knew she loved them. And they want to go back and get a hug from her every time they step anywhere near that school. I'll tell you one more story. It's the story of a kid named Thomas. You're familiar with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Well, in 1999, the big idea, we got a letter from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They try to grant the wishes of kids with terminal illnesses. And this letter was from a kid named Thomas, who was a 9-year-old boy with terminal brain cancer. And Thomas's wish was that he would be the voice in a VeggieTales video. That's what he said he wanted to leave behind for his fans. And so we set up a recording date, decided we would rewrite a silly song so it could be a duet between Larry the Cucumber and Thomas. And we set the recording date, and the date came, but Thomas had died the weekend before that, and she wanted to tell us about his last weekend. His last weekend on earth, she said, he was only conscious for about an hour. And in that hour, he asked if he could watch the very first VeggieTales video, Where's God When I'm Scared? One last time with his family. He didn't ask for a clown to come in and jump. He didn't ask for his Xbox. He didn't ask to watch a $100 million Pixar movie or Disney movie. He wanted one more time to hear a tomato and a cucumber tell him how much God loved him and that he made him special and that God was bigger than anything he could be afraid of, even death itself. I can't compete with Pixar. I watch those films, and the budgets are so huge and their creative resources are so limitless that they just freak me out. But you know what? I don't have to compete with Pixar, because I can do something that Pixar can't do. I can point a child into the arms of a loving God, and so can you. So here's what I want to leave behind for you guys. Your ministry to kids doesn't start with an Xbox and a big screen TV. It doesn't start with a job description from a senior pastor or a big budget. It doesn't even start with a great conference filled with best practices and great tips. Your ministry to kids starts with God's love. And not his love for kids, his love for you. Christ is calling to you, to all who are heavy burdened, who are weary. Bring your burdens to the cross and lay them down. Let them go. Then stay there at the cross, resting in God's love. Not his love for the world in abstract, but his very real love for you. Let that love fill you until you can say, like the psalmist, my soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from him. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. Let that love fill you until it overflows and splashes all over the kids around you, because that is the beginning of your ministry. So I'm back at work, launching new ideas, brainstorming new solutions, playing around with puppets, trying to figure out how to teach kids the whole Bible, not just the parts with cute, fuzzy animals in them. There are still days where I'll start to get stressed over my budgets, my schedules, my plans. Stress will start creeping up my legs like a virus, reminding me that while I'm created in the image of God, I still bear the marks of a fallen humanity. But in those moments, I go back to the words of Paul. I go back to the purity of my burden for those two little girls and their moms staring down a horribly messy world. I let go of that stress and put my plans and schedules and budgets in God's hands. And once again, Paul can say, rejoice. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. We have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. So rejoice. Again, rejoice.